20 ways to reverse insulin resistance for good, Doctor explains. Hello, I am Dr. David. In over a decade working in emergency rooms and geriatric care, I have witnessed thousands of people enter hospital doors with looks of utter shock. They suffered strokes while having dinner with their families, their kidneys failed at age 50, or they began forgetting their children's names due to dementia. They called it bad luck. But to me, as a professional, I know it was not luck. It was the result of a silent process of destruction that had been occurring for 20 or 30 years prior. Did you know that at this very moment, approximately 40% of adults are living with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes? Stop for a moment and think about that number. Nearly half the population is walking around with a health condition that significantly increases the risk of death from all causes. Not just diabetes complications, but everything. But here is the crazy part of the modern world. You feel tired, you go for a checkup. The doctor diagnoses you with a disease caused by your lifestyle. And instead of teaching you how to change that lifestyle, they hand you a bottle of pills and say, take these and come back in 6 months to recheck your HbA1c. The healthcare system is focusing on the branches. But today, I am here to talk to you about the root. That root is called insulin resistance. It is like a ghost in the body, accumulating in your heart, brain, blood vessels, and kidneys for years before any machine can detect it. If you want to protect yourself and your parents from a painful old age, this video is the only key you need. Before I reveal the 20 evidence-based methods to reverse this condition, I have a request. Please click the subscribe button right now. Why? Because the knowledge I am about to share is not just dry information. It is a survival plan. Hit the notification bell because this journey to reverse aging is very long, and I do not want you to miss any link in the chain. If you have already subscribed, I offer my sincerest thanks. Your support helps this life-saving information reach more people. Now, let us begin with strategy number 1. Strategy 1. Build a massive glucose storage tank. Muscle is not just for aesthetics. Muscle is a metabolic organ. Imagine the glucose in your blood as water and your muscles as a massive storage tank. When you perform resistance training, such as lifting weights, using resistance bands, or simply doing squats at home, your muscles contract. A miracle happens. The muscles open a back door to pull glucose from the blood without needing the help of insulin. The more muscle you have, the more sensitive your body becomes to insulin, even while you are sleeping. You do not need to become a bodybuilder. Just 2 to 3 sessions per week for 20 minutes each, focusing on large muscle groups like the thighs, back, and chest is enough. Make your muscles work a little harder, because that is when they are learning to process sugar more effectively. Strategy 2. Do not fear carbs, fear the glucose storm. Many people tell me, Dr. David, I have completely cut out starch. I tell them, do not do that. Carbohydrates are not the enemy. The issue lies in the speed. Carbs are just chains of sugar molecules. Your body is perfectly capable of processing them if they enter slowly. But when you eat a bowl of white rice or a piece of sweet bread, that is not food. It is a glucose storm flooding your blood. The pancreas has to pump out insulin like crazy to save the situation. Instead of avoiding carbs, choose slow-release carbs, whole grains, sweet potatoes, legumes. The goal is to flatten the glucose curve. A sharp, vertical glucose spike is the destruction of blood vessels. A gentle curve is life. Strategy 3. The liquid calorie assassin, the pancreas's nightmare: fruit juices, smoothies, iced milk coffee, or even coconut water. These are all powerful weapons that cause insulin resistance. Why? Because when you drink, you do not need to chew, and there is no fiber to block the way. Liquid sugar pours directly into the stomach and enters the bloodstream at lightning speed. Even fruit smoothies, which we think are good, have their fiber structure destroyed when blended. You are consuming 5 times more sugar than if you sat and chewed an apple. Eat your fruit. Do not drink it. Completely eliminating liquid calories is the fastest step to reversing insulin resistance. Strategy 4. The companion rule: never let sugar travel alone. When you eat starch like a piece of bread, it digests very quickly. But if you spread a little peanut butter on it or eat it with an egg, the story changes. Protein and fat act as gatekeepers. They slow down stomach emptying, preventing sugar from flooding into the blood all at once. Think in terms of combinations. Eating rice? Eat it with fish and vegetables sautéed in olive oil. Eating fruit? Pair it with a handful of cashews or a piece of cheese. Strategy 5. Stop constant snacking. Let insulin return to the starting line. We have been deceived for years by the advice. Divide meals into small portions to maintain metabolism. Mistake. Every time you put something in your mouth, insulin rises. If you eat every 2 to 3 hours, your insulin remains high for 24 hours. When insulin is high, your body locks the fat storage doors. It cannot burn fat for energy. Create clear gaps between meals. Let your body actually feel hungry. Hunger is not scary. That is when insulin drops and the body begins the self-repair process. Strategy 6. Manage stress, the invisible sugar source. This is something many of my patients overlook. You can eat perfectly, but if you always live in anxiety, your blood sugar will still be high. When stressed, the body releases cortisol and adrenaline. They command the liver, "Hey, pour all the stored sugar into the blood. We are in danger." But in reality, you are just sitting there worrying about bills or work. That sugar is not consumed. It stays in the blood and forces the insulin to work overtime. Managing stress is not a luxury. It is a medical necessity. Meditate, practice breathing, walk in the park, or simply learn to say no to toxic pressures. Strategy 7. The golden eating order science has proven. If you change the order of eating, you can reduce the glucose spike by 40% without changing the food itself. First, fiber, green vegetables, salad. Fiber forms a mesh in the intestines. Next, protein and fat, meat, fish, eggs. Starch and sugar last, rice, bread, sweet fruit. While waiting for the main course to cook, my wife and I usually eat a large plate of cucumbers, carrots, and celery dipped in hummus. We chat while loading up on fiber first. When we get to the main meal, our blood sugar remains stable. Strategy 8. Sleep, the foundation of sensitivity. With just one night of poor sleep, the next day your cells will become deaf to insulin. You will crave more sweets and eat more to compensate for the energy deficit. In the medical profession, night shifts are a metabolic disaster. If you have a choice, prioritize sleep. Sleep 7 to 9 hours per night in a dark, cool room. Go to bed and wake up at the same time to stabilize your circadian rhythm, the thing that controls every hormone in your body. Strategy 9. Absolutely avoid naked sugars. What is naked sugar? It is a biscuit, a candy, or a piece of cake eaten on an empty stomach. With nothing to shield it and nothing to block it, it is a direct punch to your pancreas. If you want to eat something sweet, never eat it alone. Eat it as a dessert right after the main meal. At that point, the stomach already contains fiber and protein, and the punch of sugar becomes a gentle touch. Strategy 10. Fasting insulin test. The early MAP. The biggest mistake of modern medicine is only testing blood glucose. But blood glucose is a late indicator. Your insulin has often been high for 10 years before blood sugar starts showing abnormalities. Target index. In the US, keep insulin below 5 UIU/ml. In the UK/Europe, keep it below 35 mol/L. Do not wait for a diabetes diagnosis. Ask your doctor for a fasting insulin test. If it is high, take action immediately. This is the cheapest investment for your old age. Strategy 11. Ultra-processed foods. Do not eat things without ancestors. Imagine traveling back in time 100 years and giving a box of modern breakfast cereal or a package of cookies to your great-grandmother. She would not know what it is. In medicine, we call this UPF, ultra-processed foods. These are not food. They are products assembled in a laboratory. They contain emulsifiers, stabilizers, artificial flavors, and chemical sugars that make your brain go crazy and demand more. These things do not just increase blood sugar. They devastate the gut microbiome, the second command center of the immune and metabolic systems. If a food has an ingredient list longer than 5 lines or contains words you cannot pronounce, put it down. Eat what nature provides, things that have ancestors from the earth. Strategy 12. Walking after meals. The body's Spare key. Many patients tell me, "Doctor, I am too busy. I don't have time for the gym." I reply, "Then do you have 10 minutes after dinner?" This is a very powerful medical tip. When you have just finished eating, glucose is flooding into the blood. If you sit still on the sofa, the pancreas must work hard. But if you stand up and walk for just 10 to 15 minutes, the large muscle groups in your legs contract. As they contract, they open a back door, GLUT4, to suck in sugar without waiting for insulin's permission. Make walking after meals a family ritual. It not only lowers blood sugar but is also a time to connect with loved ones. A free habit that is worth thousands of dollars in medication. Strategy 13. Eat according to circadian rhythm. When is as important as what the human body is part of nature. We have a biological clock inside every cell. This clock says, you are most sensitive to insulin in the morning and become deaf to it as the sun sets. A piece of cake eaten at 8 a.m. might be processed fine. But that same piece of cake at 10 p.m. will be a metabolic disaster because your body has switched to rest and store mode. Eat like a king in the morning, a prince at noon, and a beggar in the evening. Finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed so the body does not have to process sugar when it needs to recover. Strategy 14. Read the triglyceride/HDL index. Become your own expert. Never be satisfied when a doctor says, your blood sugar is fine. Flip the blood test result over and look at 2 indicators. Triglycerides, bad blood fat, and HDL, good cholesterol. This is the golden ratio to know if you are insulin resistant. The formula: take the triglyceride index and divide it by HDL. If this ratio is above 3.0 in the US or above 1.0 in VN/Europe, it is a red flag indicating your cardiovascular system is in danger, even if your blood sugar is currently normal. Do not wait for a stroke to start worrying about blood fat. Strategy 15. Create insulin-free spaces. Insulin resistance happens because your body is soaked in insulin for too long. The simplest way to heal is to withdraw the insulin. Try applying a 10 or 12-hour eating window. For example, eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and finish dinner at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. The remaining 12 to 14 hours, including sleep, is when insulin drops to its lowest. This is when the miracle happens. The body begins burning visceral fat and cells begin to reset their sensitivity. Note, you do not need extreme fasting. Simply stop late-night snacking. That is the biggest step forward. Strategy 16. Alcohol, the silent destroyer from within. I know this is hard to hear, but alcohol is the biggest barrier in the journey to reverse insulin resistance. Alcohol is not just empty calories. It forces the liver to stop processing sugar to focus on detoxifying the alcohol. The result? Fatty liver. Furthermore, alcohol destroys deep sleep. As we learned in part 1, a bad night's sleep makes you insulin resistant the next day. Try stopping alcohol completely for 3 months. You will see your waistline shrink and your mind become remarkably clear. Strategy 17. Prioritize soluble fiber, food. For the little friends, fiber does not just help you go to the bathroom more easily. Soluble fibers, found in beans, oats, dark green vegetables, are the favorite food of the beneficial bacteria in your gut. When beneficial bacteria eat fiber, they create short-chain fatty acids, SCFA. These substances enter the blood and directly command the cells. Be more sensitive to insulin. Aim for 30 g of fiber per day. Add a handful of spinach to your fried eggs, or have a large salad before every meal. Strategy 18. Reduce visceral fat. The waistline is the measure of life. Weight is a deceptive indicator. You can have a normal weight but still be thin outside, fat inside, TOFI. What we need to fear is visceral fat, the fat wrapped around your liver, kidneys, and heart. This type of fat does not just sit there. It is a factory producing inflammatory substances, directly causing insulin resistance and cancer. Throw away the scale and pick up a measuring tape. If a man's waist is over 94 centimeters or a woman's is over 80 centimeters, you are in the danger zone. Focus on shrinking your waist through resistance training and cutting out ultra-processed foods. Strategy 19. Medication is a tool, Not a cure-all. Metformin or new drugs like GLP-1 can be very effective in managing symptoms. I still prescribe them to patients when necessary. But remember, medication does not cure the root cause. Medicine helps you manage the disease, but a new lifestyle helps you escape the disease. Do not use medication as a permit to continue eating sweets or being sedentary. My ultimate goal when treating patients is to help them become so healthy that they no longer need me or my prescriptions. Strategy 20. Consistency over perfection. The game of persistence, the final and most important strategy. Be kind to yourself. You do not need to perform all 20 of these perfectly starting tomorrow. Insulin resistance took 20 years to form, so do not expect it to disappear in 20 hours. Choose the 3 things you find easiest and do them well. Once they become a habit, add the next thing. The small choices you make in your 30s, 40s, and 50s will determine whether your 70s and 80s are days spent walking in the park or days spent in a hospital bed with tubes around you. Dear friends, we have traveled a long journey through 20 golden strategies. I know today's information might be overwhelming, but the health of you and your family is worth this effort. Now, I have a small request. Look at the list of 20 things we just discussed and choose only one thing that you commit to doing starting today. Comment below, I choose to change by name of strategy. I will read and cheer for you. If you found this video provides truly valuable knowledge, please help me spread it. A like and a share from you could be the lifesaver for someone out there despairing over illness. Do not forget to subscribe so we can meet again in deeper topics on geriatrics and longevity health. Thank you for listening to me until these final moments. I wish you to always live healthy, stay young, and master your own destiny. I am Dr. David. See you in the next videos. Would you like me to help you brainstorm some specific titles or thumbnail ideas for this video?